I'm super excited today to be joined by Governor Wes Moore from Maryland. Now, Governor, I want to dive right in because our country really is facing a crisis right now with a government shutdown that has entered over 1 week, and it's impacting your state more than others because you all have tens of thousands of federal employees. Now, I want to ask you, what's Maryland doing to ensure that these federal workers are protected during a government shutdown?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, there's no state that's taking it on the chin more than the state of Maryland. But also, we know this is not new. This is what's been happening ever since Donald Trump was inaugurated as president of the United States, where he has now fired over 15,000 federal workers in the state of Maryland alone, more than any other state in the country. That he has now taken away research dollars from our research institutions, tried to shutter federal agencies, declined any type of federal support to Western Maryland, which ironically is a part of the state that voted for Donald Trump, that he denied any federal support for, despite having historic floods. So there is no state in the country that he seems to be interested in attacking more than the state of Maryland. But there is nobody who is going to fight for the people of our state like what we've been able to see from this administration and our congressional delegation, where literally the moment that the federal government shut down needlessly, I immediately announced executive orders that would do things like making sure that the state would help to, for as long as we can, try to do a backfill for things like Medicaid and TANF and SNAP, making sure that for children that need food assistance or for individuals that need health care, that they are going to get what was promised to them. That I've been able to work with the private sector and order the private sector not to use this moment to do evictions and utility shutoffs on our federal workers, and being able to make sure we're also doing and continuing the really unique and groundbreaking initiatives like our Feds to Eds, which is asking federal workers that have been fired by the president if they're interested in doing things like coming to the classroom or coming to hospitals and streamlining the process to keep them employed and supported. And so there is nothing I will not do to make sure that I'm defending the people of our state. It's just really unfortunate that we have to do so much because the president of the United States is seeming to spend his time and his energy attacking the American people.
Well, I got to ask you because earlier this week, the president said that some furloughed federal workers will not get back pay, or he might not want them to get back pay. What's your response to that?
My response is that it just shows another level of his inhumanity. But frankly, it also shows and highlights the fact that what he's saying is illegal, just like much of what the president of the United States says. And it really is tough to understand. The president of the United States seems to want to be at war with the middle class. Maybe it's because he's never been in the middle class. He doesn't know how tough it is for working families because he's never had to experience that. But what we are seeing right now, this assault on working families, this assault on making everything more expensive, that energy prices in Maryland have jumped over 15% just since Donald Trump has been the president of the United States. That everything about our lives is becoming more expensive and more uncertain because of the decisions of this administration. So when I hear him say things like that he is going to not allow back pay for our federal workers, once again, it reminds me that he does not understand what it is like to be working class inside this country. And it also reminds me that he does not understand rules and laws because what he's talking about is illegal.
Well, to follow up on that, let's say we get out of this government shutdown and he says, you know what, registered Democrats who are furloughed federal workers, we're not going to give them back pay. In an extreme situation like that, does Maryland have a plan?
Well, one thing we know is that he can't say that unilaterally. Congress would have to buy into that. Congress would have to say that that is authorized. And I would hope that Congress would show a spine, that Congress would show that they actually do consider themselves a co-equal branch of government and not a subservient branch of government. That Congress would understand that this is a democracy and not a dictatorship. So any move like that, Congress would have to be the ones to authorize it. And while I believe deeply that history is not going to remember this administration well, for those who continue to bend the knee to this administration, history will remember you worse.
Now, I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about other impacts of this government shutdown, specifically on national parks in Maryland. If the federal government continues to stay closed, at what point will national parks and other services have to shutter in Maryland?
Well, and this is so deeply heartbreaking for so many people because our natural parks in many cases are some of our greatest heirlooms. They're the things that were passed down to us with the simple instructions just to take care of them and hope that we can pass something off just as beautiful to the next generation than what we found it. I mean, what the president might not understand is that our national parks, for many people, this is where they take their family to vacation
Mm.
on the small amount of time that they get off during the year. That this is where they can find an affordable way and an educational way of being able to spend family time. But again, to the president, that does not seem to matter. And so it's unfortunate that we are seeing a situation that we're seeing this target that's being put on some of our nation's greatest and most cherished treasures, like our national parks, and seeing how those now become collateral damage in what is just a very deep and twisted political game.
And I guess the other question is obviously air travel is already being impacted by this. You have one of the largest airports in the country in BWI in Baltimore. Are you worried at all that because air traffic controllers are essentially calling in sick at a greater rate, they're essential employees, but they're not getting paid for their work? Are you worried that air travel could be impacted out of the BWI airport moving forward?
Yeah, in fact, just this morning, I was at the BWI Thurgood Marshall Airport with members of my congressional delegation and also the executive director of the airport. And what we know is we have some remarkable public servants. That we saw people there who are air traffic controllers. We saw people there who were keeping the airport clean. We saw people there who were making sure that people with disabilities can move around quickly. We saw people there who were doing the providing security. And the thing that we also saw was this, that for many of them, they're not being paid. For many of them, they're just showing up to work. They're showing up because they know their work is essential for the safety and the security and the well-being of the people of not just Maryland, but for the people of this country. And they're doing it because they're patriots. And so, from every indication that we have gotten from our executive director, the reason that we still continue to have such a high performing airport like BWI Thurgood Marshall Airport is because of the public servants. And it's because of the people who are continually choosing to put people over politics, unlike what we're seeing from Washington, D.C. right now.
Now, I do want to shift gears before I let you go and talk about another battle that's shaping up across the country, and that's redistricting. Obviously, we saw what happened in Texas. California has Prop 50 on the ballot. In the past couple weeks, Maryland's been getting some attention because you all have one Republican seat that many across the country have been calling for you to call a special session to potentially redistrict the state. Now, there's been some reporting to suggest that you were initially hesitant. You came out, you rebuked that publicly. Give us the story. I mean, where are we with redistricting? Is that something you guys are looking at right now in Maryland?
Yes, and listen, I'm clear that theoretically, I don't like the idea of gerrymandering districts. I think it's one of the things that people hate about politics. I also know this: I don't live in the theoretical. I live in reality. And what we're seeing right now is Donald Trump picking and choosing which states should have fair maps and which states should sit on their hands based on principle. And where I was before, where I am now, and where I am not moving off of is if you are having all these states and all these conversations that are having conversations about having fair maps, then so should Maryland. Then Maryland should make sure that the maps that we have come November reflect the larger aspirations of the people. And this is not about a singular congressperson. It's not about a singular seat. I want fair maps inside of the state of Maryland. So I know these are conversations that are taking place with the House. I know the Speaker of the House is very clear on where she has been. I know the Senate is still working through their process, but I'm very clear on where I stand on this. That if everybody is going to start having conversations about do we have fair maps, then the state of Maryland needs to have conversations about do we have fair maps as well.
So, do you plan on eventually turning those conversations to a special legislative session?
Yeah, I look forward to Maryland showing that we are anxious to take the lead on this, and I'm ready, willing, and I'm able to help to lead this charge.
Governor Moore, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Aaron.
Hey folks, Aaron Parnas here. Thank you so much for watching The Parnas Perspective. Please consider subscribing to support our work as we grow this independent news media entity into something that rivals mainstream every single day. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon.